Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing U.S. tourist visas. That's the B1, B2 visa, B1/B2 for business or pleasure to the United States. That's the tourist visa from the U.S. Embassy in Phnom Penh. And I'm making this video to provide kind of a primer, or perhaps I should say a bit of a, it's here to provide some clarity, if you will, to how tourist visa applications are adjudicated and the paradigm under which these kind of applications are reviewed, and perhaps some tips for those who are looking to apply for a U.S. tourist visa. The first thing to bear in mind, or I think specifically this video, I should say this video is taking this from the perspective of someone who has an American, for example, or a lawful permanent resident in the United States who has a loved one in Cambodia. Now that could be a spouse, a fiance, a brother or sister, a parent, whatever, a family member in Cambodia or a loved one. And the thing to bear in mind with respect to this overall analysis is what's called Section 214B of the Immigration and Nationality Act. And Section 214B basically dictates to the adjudicating consular officer that they have to be satisfied that the applicant shows sufficient strong ties to their home country, presumably Cambodia, or some third country abroad, and weak ties to the United States. Now, this analysis is also occurring under the doctrine of what's called consular absolutism or consular non-reviewability. And that doctrine basically presupposes that the factual findings of a consular officer are not appealable. Basically, they're irrefutable, the factual findings of a consular officer. So you have to understand it's kind of an uphill battle, especially where one has some sort of tie to the United States. For example, a boyfriend that's in the United States, or a fiance in the United States, or a spouse in the United States. Any of these individuals can result in a factual adjudication that that individual applying for that tourist visa does not have sufficiently weak ties to the United States, notwithstanding whatever strong ties might exist, and therefore a tourist visa should be denied. So the thing to take away from this video also is there is a rather high incidence in this region, be it Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, or Thailand, of tourist visa denials. We do see this relatively frequently. Folks being, I shouldn't say relatively, it happens rather frequently here in Bangkok, and I hear and receive emails from those who have been denied for tourist visas out of Cambodia for fiancés, spouses, girlfriends, boyfriends, husbands, wives, brothers and sisters, etc., where there's an American citizen or lawful permanent resident counterpart, and therefore the consular officer deemed that there were not sufficient weak ties to grant the tourist visa. And in these circumstances, I also say, look, there's a fairly high incidence of denial in cases similar to that, in factual situations similar to that described. And those who are watching this video, I think it's a good idea to sort of reassess one's paradigm and understand that the likelihood of denial with respect to a tourist visa is rather high. Finally, something else I would urge folks who are watching this video to understand, I don't really deal with a lot of tourist visas. My personal opinion is there can be some value added to certain types of tourist visa applications. I've often found there isn't much value added in most non-immigrant visa cases where I can come in and provide some value to the client. I would urge those watching this, sort of an unqualified, someone who doesn't have any qualification to do U.S. immigration work, acting as a visa service to assist someone to get into the United States on a tourist visa. Be very careful with such individuals, because oftentimes they know full well that there may be a high denial rate on these cases, and they also know full well that, frankly, there's not a lot of value to be added by a service provider in applying for a U.S. tourist visa. And for this reason, it's probably not particularly good. In my opinion, it's probably not particularly necessary to use a service provider for a U.S. tourist visa. Most things regarding the U.S. tourist visa can be done by oneself. And, okay, there may be things like a translation here or there that's needed. Deal with a translator, specifically for the limited purpose of getting a translation. This is very different than other aspects of U.S. immigration. There are other aspects of U.S. immigration and other visas to be sought that require a great deal of work and a great deal of assistance. But tourist visas, frankly, I think most of the time, with rare exceptions, it's probably best to go ahead and do it oneself, understanding that the likelihood of being denied a tourist visa, especially where there's an American loved one involved, is going to be pretty high. We hope you find our videos insightful. If so, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you can receive up-to-date notifications of legal news in Thailand and the United States.